Well, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I was literally just getting it in my ear and getting the translation, and then, thank God, the state councilor said, "You're on. You have to get up." So here I am. Distinguished mayors, I understand my own mayor is here. Mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh, where is he? Somewhere? There he is. Thank you, Marty. Great to see you. Thank you very, very much. Special Representative Xie Zhenhua, thank you so much. I want you all to know that the Special Representative and I have spent years, literally. When I was in the United States Senate, I met with him any number of times. Once he even served me an enormous meal at an airport as we met in between travels, working on the issue of climate change. And I want to thank him for being a central voice on the issue of climate change and a voice for conservation at the NDRC. But most importantly, he was China's top negotiator, as I think most of you know, for the climate change negotiations in Paris. And he's one of the people who really helped to make this happen. When I came over here, literally a month or so after I had been appointed Secretary of State, I came to China because we knew we'd failed in Copenhagen and we couldn't afford to repeat. And so the first meetings were with the Chinese, the first commitment was the Chinese, and President Xi committed to do this and followed through on it, working with the state councilor, Yang Zheshur. And so the result is that really China and the United States were able to come together a year before Paris. And it's that joint leadership that I am convinced helped to set the stage for the Paris Agreement. So, Special Representative Xie, thank you for your role in that. And I think everybody here is grateful to you for your leadership. I want to thank the government of China for convening the second annual Climate Smart Low Carbon Cities Summit. And particularly, I want to thank my friend, the State Councilor Yang Zheshur, who has been a terrific host this week and whose partnership on climate change has helped all of us to be able to move the ball forward. I especially thank the mayor of Beijing, Wang Anchun. Where is the mayor? Is he here now? He's probably not here now, but I thank him very much for his efforts to reduce emissions here in the city of Beijing, which everybody knows was a huge challenge. And he has been, and Beijing has been, as forward-leaning as any city anywhere in the world. So let me just be very clear to all of you, and I know you're here because you're already believers in the urgency of action. That's what's brought you here. But climate change is, without any question, unlike anything that we have ever faced before. It's a different kind of challenge, and it's different from anything we faced as individual nations or as one planet. The fact is, if we are going to live up to the Paris Agreement and accelerate the transition to a low-carbon future, we have to start with our cities. Now, let me just emphasize to everybody that the effects of climate change are moving faster than many of us anticipated. Just the other day, we learned that last month, actually we're just into June, so effectively it would have been April, but the month of April was the hottest April in all of recorded history. And the month before that, March, was the hottest March in all of recorded history. And guess what? Every single month for the entire year preceding was the hottest month in all of recorded history. So we had the hottest year in history, which is part of the hottest decade in history. And now the decade preceding that is the second hottest in history, and the decade preceding that is the third hottest in history. So just as rational people, what does that tell you? What does it tell you when you see record rainfall? Go to Paris and see what's happening there. Go to Houston, Texas, where a few weeks ago they had 17 inches of rain in one day within, I think, about 5 hours, which is more rain than they'd had the entire summer the year before. So you add it up, take all the evidence, and I'm not going to put it all on the table now because all of you understand this. But what is happening is it is building, and that is the reason that as we look to the future, it is an inescapable fact that cities are going to be in the eye of the climate change storm. Why? Because more people live in urban areas today than rural, and that has never happened before in our lives. And by 2050, 2 out of every 3 people on Earth will live in cities. Second, fully 90% of major cities, 90%, are situated along inland or coastal waterways, making them particularly at risk for storm surges and for sea level rise. There are cities today in parts of the world that are going to have trouble existing unless things change. Certainly trouble functioning. And the kind of extreme weather that we anticipate could shut down, we've already seen it, shutting down cities. The local economy of Houston, in the example that I just described, took a hit of an estimated $500 million or more